Jamenica Otaku, and today we're going to be talking about fandom. Specifically, my life surrounded by fandom. So, as of this video, I am 20 years old and have been in quite a few fandoms over my lifetime. But I wasn't really exposed to fandom until I was like 12. And I want to explore that. I don't know why I'm making this video, just a bit of fun. But yeah, so let's just get into it. I also want to see how I've gone from kid who's only obsessed with Western YouTubers to adult who is obsessed with Minecraft YouTubers, who's also a weeb. As a kid, up until I was roughly 12, I was just into normal kid stuff. I grew up in the early 2000s, meaning that the internet was not readily available to me, nor was computers, computer games, etc. The earliest computer games that I ever played were usually those educational PC games, and occasionally like those few Simpsons games that were on PS2 and then PS3. Those were the kinds of games that I played, with the earliest console that I had for myself being the Nintendo DS, which I still have under my bed. I'm not picking it up for this video. Now, as a young child, I was never into anime. In fact, my only connection to any media from Japan was either via video games, which I didn't know came from Japan, or the fact that my uncle used to live and teach in Japan. My uncle lived in Japan until I started high school, which is ironic because that's roughly the time I started enjoying anime. And in fact, the first interest that I showed in Japan was its mythology, because I was a really big mythology nerd. Specifically with mythological creatures, I was not into like learning about Zeus and all that shit. I was specifically into the mythological creatures of different countries. Whether this be Greece, whether this be Italy, whether this be Japan, I had always been interested in mythological creatures. And I had no one to tell this to as a child. My life as a child was essentially me organizing and reorganizing Barbie dolls and giving my favorite Barbie doll the best clothes items that I had in my dollhouse. Until 2013. My first instance of fandom had to have been with the One Direction fandom, as I was 11 and 12 when they hit their peak popularity, this being in 2012 and 2013. I was in year 5 and 6, and I was not in this fandom all that long. For two reasons in particular. First one, now you may not believe me when I say this, but my cousin and Harry Styles are essentially doppelgangers, or at least they very much were back in 2013. The second part was I was horribly picked on for liking One Direction because they were popular. Now, I wasn't bullied because I wasn't the only one who liked One Direction, but I was the one who had One Direction merch and was the most open about it. Me and my friends and a bunch of girls in class really liked One Direction. My teacher did not. She went out of her way to be like, One Direction is trash. Why are you listening to this? And all the boys in class would make fun of One Direction at the time. I felt shamed by liking One Direction, especially since, as I said, I had merch. I was the most sort of vocal about liking One Direction. Vocal in the fact that I showed that I liked One Direction. As in, I had a phone case that had One Direction on it, and one of my most favorite bags that I have ever owned that I don't own anymore was a One Direction messenger bag. I had that bag almost the full year of year 6. You do not know how many times people teased me about owning that fucking bag. The teacher called me out on having that bag. The thing is, in Australia, it is very much jokey when people do this, but fuck me, it hurts. Like, I knew at the time it was a joke, and I have known since then it was a joke. Didn't make it any less just mortifying that people would say this stuff to my face. And because I was the one with the merch, I was the one typically targeted, despite the fact that most of the girls in the class liked One Direction. And this got worse in high school. So I entered high school in 2014 and I had no friends. Now, that would be because I specifically chose an art school, but when you choose an art school as your specific school, you're gonna get a lot of people who's very indie, very
I'm not like the other girls.
And so the rampant hate towards One Direction got worse. And one of my close friends at the time hated them so much that they kind of shamed me for liking them. Like, there was at one point, mid 2014 or 2015, when One Direction released a song that I thought was a fucking bop, and I loved it. When I told my friend I had that song on my phone, they were like, why do you have that? It is not okay that you have that. So that was my first instance and first loss of interest in fandom, and this was in my pre-teens. But that set up a lot for what is going to come in the next near decade of me being super into fandom. So 2014 was a mess of different fandom things as I learned a lot more about the world. For one, I started listening to K-pop, but I also started listening to more emo music. I also was really into Monster High, YouTubers, Dan and Phil. I had friends who were really into some of the things that I liked, such as YouTubers Dan and Phil. I started reading on Wattpad during its, prime. Yeah. And because I was watching YouTubers such as Dan and Phil, I got into anime. Again, when you go to an art school, there's a lot of people who are
I'm not like the other girls.
And during that year, I also went to France, so that also greatly affected what I was watching during that time. I was watching more sci-fi shows such as Warehouse 13, and I got really big into the Warehouse 13 fandom at that time as well. Unfortunately, no one liked that show, and I can never find anyone else who likes that show. If you like that show, leave a comment down below, because I still fucking love that show. Claudia is my favorite. But most of this year was filled with Western media that I was really into, especially with the sudden shift of not having my own device, such as an iPad or a phone, to having my own device. Because I was in high school, I needed a new phone. I needed more space on my phone, and I had internet, so I could use my phone. So having that, I got a lot more access to the internet and the online world a lot more quickly. And I would say my top fandoms for that year was two sides to the YouTube fandom, that being the Dan and Phil Fantastic Foursome side, as well as the gaming side of YouTube. So PewDiePie, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, that whole shebang. Then the second fandom that I was really big into was the Warehouse 13 fandom. Now this couldn't flourish in me because I didn't have anyone to talk about this with. So that essentially died within a year. Then lastly would have to be probably the Attack on Titan fandom in 2014. Now to be fair, it was closer to the end of 2014 when I started watching anime, because I'd watched Dan and Phil, read fanfiction about Dan and Phil, don't ask, I had gotten a lot of recommendations for not only music, but anime, and because I was watching Dan and Phil, who were really big into anime at that time, I got recommended YouTube cracks, or proops, or whatever they're called to you, on Attack on Titan and the anime free. And that's when I decided to explore what these anime were. Now, I watched a bunch of obviously Attack on Titan cracks, so I was predisposed to everything that happens in Attack on Titan multiple times. But it wasn't the same for Free. So I went out searching for Free and I watched Free on YouTube in one of those videos where the video is down in the corner, in the bottom corner, and you just have really awful audio and the rest of it's just a big picture of official art that's clearly been ripped. And because it was Free and only came out around 2014, there was no dub. So Free was the first proper anime that I watched in sub. And that sub saved my fucking life because, oh my god, was the audio crap. Even if I understood Japanese, I wouldn't have been able to hear what the fuck they were saying because the audio was garbage. And then was also Attack on Titan. I watched Attack on Titan on Kiss Anime. The thing with these interests, I sound like I had them for like a short time. These lasted a very long time, several months, and they were all overlapping. And when it comes to overlapping interests, let's go into my YouTube interests and my emo phase. Because if you were a fan of Dan or Phil, preferably Dan, you were an emo. You listened to emo music. I listened to so much Fall Out Boy, so much My Chemical Romance, so much fucking Panic at the Disco, and it is because of a Dan and Phil fanfiction that I found possibly one of my favorite emo bands, All Time Low. I also found my favorite fucking movie ever, The Wolf Children, from a Dan and Phil fanfiction. The same Dan and Phil fanfiction. So let's move into 2015. My emo phase officially starts, as does my anime phase. It kicks off without a hitch, as I now have a friend who's actually interested in some of the anime that I watch and will talk with it with me, but they are far more interested in their emo phase. We'll call this person She Who Shall Not Be Named because, oh my god, I had a fight with this person. Didn't end well, at least on her end. I say fight, she shouted at me while I just stood there. I was in the right. Do you know what? The fight was over. I blocked her on Instagram because she was a bitch. So to save her face, we're calling her She Who Shall Not Be Named. Now, she was really into like Harry Potter. She was that toxic Tumblr fangirl, and I thrived off of that. See, while I could talk to my friends who I had in year 7 about some emo bands such as Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco, this bitch was emo as fuck and tried to go for more bands like Black Veil Brides, 21 Pilots. They fucking loved 21 Pilots, and this will be important later. They fucking loved 21 Pilots, right? I fully went into my emo phase in 2015. Just on the side, I was also watching anime, and I watched anime such as Assassination Classroom, Hetalia. I also got really into, I believe it was Sailor Moon around this time. I think Sailor Moon might have been 2016, but I got really into fandom in this year, and I started writing on Wattpad. No, it was not fanfiction at this point of time. It was actual books, because I read actual books on Wattpad, not just fanfiction. Who'da thunk there was actual books on Wattpad? It was also during this time that I spent most of my time in the library and became extremely pale. You see, as a kid, I used to tan so fucking easily. So easily. Like, I would be in the sun for a day. Boom, I am tan as fuck. I cannot do that now, especially since I stayed inside for so long because I was so interested in my special interests that I skipped like 4 summers to stay inside and watch anime. That is why I'm so deathly pale now. Like, it was so bad, I had an iron deficiency. Around this time, I also got into book fandoms such as Divergent and The Maze Runner and all of that. Had I actually read the books? Fuck no, I watched the movies because I was that kind of bitch. So let's move into 2016. My emo phase is in full swing. I have watched Hetalia over the last summer and am obsessed with it. And I, at one point, saved myself from pure embarrassment. Now I'm going to diverge here and talk about how I was getting picked on in 2013? 2013 was not a good year for me. I've had so many embarrassing moments in 2013, and I had one of the most crippling embarrassing moments during that year when I said to the chattiest girl in the room a misunderstanding that I had. She then proceeded to tell the teacher, and the whole class found out. The cringe is deep, the cringe is real. Whenever I think of that moment, as you do at 3 a.m. in the morning when you're trying to fall asleep, I always contest it with this one instance of me not saying something stupid that would be far more embarrassing. So I'm in Italian class. I have studied, as of now, Italian for 12 years. Back then, it was 9 years. I say studied, I learnt the wrong kind of Italian, then I learnt the correct Italian for 6 years. So I have roughly 6 years of correct Italian, 12 years of Italian total. At that point, it was 9 and 3. So it is our first day back in Italian class. For school, we are in year 9 at this point. It is 2016. And we are told to do that fun after summer activity where you say something you learnt this summer and something interesting and fun you did. In my mind, I almost said the most incorrect statement physically possible. I almost said to my Italian teacher, who also knows Japanese, that Hetalia meant Italy in Japanese. It doesn't. It means useless Italy in Japanese, because that is the title of Hetalia. I almost said that for my interesting fact. I did not. And I am a genius for not doing that, and I thank myself every single fucking day for not doing that. Did I bring up Hetalia? Fuck yes. But did I say that specific thing? No. So going into 2016, I am still really big into my emo phase. However, this year marks the transition from emo to K-pop stan. As midway through the year, I get suggested 2 videos. This being BTS's Fire and BTS's Dope. When I tell you, the first time I heard these songs, I was fucking hooked. Oh my god. So I get really into the K-pop fandom at this point, and there is someone in my drama class who will talk to me about K-pop, and this is how my interests flourish, okay? If I have someone to talk about with, or if I can view art of, or if I can read about my favorite fandoms, favorite characters, just my interests, I dive headfirst into that fandom and stay there. During this time, I was also really into the Haikyuu fandom. I was starting to get into... What was I starting to get into? I was starting to get into Sailor Moon then. I was still very much in love with Free. What other anime? Ouran High School Host Club. I first picked up Ouran High School Host Club, the manga, in 2016 because I was interested in it. And that's when I got into BTS. Now, from BTS, I jumped into Monster X, Twice, all of these different groups, but it started with BTS in 2016, just before their Wings album release, okay? And the Wings album will come up very soon. But I joined this fandom just before Wings, and I was fucking hooked. When they came back with Wings, I was just addicted to that fucking album so much. So much. In fact, if I go onto my iTunes, this is a perfect example of showing what music I was into at the time. 2014, you've got a lot of dance tracks, because I was a dancer as a kid. But you also have Smosh, the Assassin's Creed 3 song. Now that's not the only Smosh song that I bought, however, I refunded the purchases for those songs because I didn't like them. Or like, as I got into my emo stage, I denounced my YouTube stage, so I deleted those songs, but it was the real party song, one of the Legend of Zelda songs, and obviously the ultimate Assassin's Creed 3 song. This song I loved so much that I kept it, and it is still a fucking bop. But moving into 2015, you do have more dance tracks, but you start to see a lot more emo tracks as well. You do obviously also see still the YouTuber songs, such as the 2 PewDiePie songs that are fucking there. And you can see that I'm still in a few of the fandoms that I said I may have not been in. Moving upwards, it is like only YouTuber songs and emo songs. It is Fall Out Boy, Melanie Martinez, Troye Sivan. I fucking forgot about the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom. 2015, I was in the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom. Or 2014, probably both. I mean, if I was a fan of YouTubers, especially gamers, I was a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I've never played Five Nights at Freddy's, but I was obsessed with the franchise. So yeah, you can start to see my emo phase. There are some songs that are just there because I also did dance at the same time, and you can tell a lot just by looking at my music library. Then you get into 2016. First album is 21 Pilots, followed by the Wings album. And this is where we get into more K-pop. You're seeing GOT7, you're seeing EXO, you're seeing Monster X, you're also seeing quite a few Spanish and Italian singers as well. I was still really into learning Italian back then. And something that helped fuel that was me being really, really, really into Hetalia. I have a diary somewhere in my room that was me writing about my feelings, and in that diary, I RP'd as Romano from Hetalia. And to make sure my mum didn't understand if she found my diary who the fuck I was talking about, I made a code of this person is this character from Hetalia. My friends, my inner friend group went as such. It was me, Romano, my best friend in school was Austria. My other friend who I blabbed on about Hetalia too, because Hetalia was the one fandom where I had no one to talk about it with, but a plethora of stuff online to look at. So I forced one of my friends to listen to me talk about Hetalia. So that friend was Spain. You had She Who Shall Not Be Named, who was America, because she, strangely enough, she's Australian, but she has an American accent. She's never been to America, but because she grew up with American TV, she developed an American accent, which is really weird. But she's also loud as fuck. That's why I made her America. And then, about 2 years later, I got a new friend. I still kept up that diary and I made her Monaco because that was like the only character that I didn't have for that. So yeah. So going into 2017, it is only K-pop with maybe 1 or 2 other songs that I needed for class. And 2017 was my big K-pop year. And this is mainly because 2016 was the year that I started talking to my childhood friend again. Mid-2015, I started talking to my best friend again. My best friend who was my childhood friend again. This would be because we went to separate schools from our primary school, so we didn't talk to each other a lot until 2015, 2016, when she came over to my house, and we found out that we had been going sort of the same path fandom-wise, despite being apart, and we were both in love with Free and BTS. So we talked about it so much, and like to this day, it very much improved our friendship, not talking for like 2 years, because we got to be our own people, but we found out we are essentially the same fucking person. But because of that, because I was talking to her more, I got more influenced into listening to more K-pop, so I drifted away from anime for a while. And while I did still watch anime, such as Hetalia, Free made a comeback. 2016, I also started cosplay in 2016. That's how into anime I was. God, 2016 felt like 4 different years. By the end of 2016, I was burnt out on anime for a little bit. I still watched it and I still enjoyed it. I still kept up the Hetalia diary, but I was starting to go into a K-pop phase. I stopped essentially listening to emo music. I did still listen to it. I have like literally half of my iTunes library is All Time Low songs and Fall Out Boy songs, but it's also half K-pop. So 2017 was a big K-pop year for me. Obviously, as you can see by History Maker being in my iTunes library, I was also watching Yuri on Ice. Yeah, based on some of these soundtracks you can actually see in my iTunes library, you can see I started getting into K-dramas. I rewatched K-On! For the first time for the full anime this time, and I fell in love, so I bought some K-On! Songs. I was also watching Yuri on Ice, thus History Maker, but the main draw of 2017 was my insane love for K-pop, and this proceeded in 2018 as well. I was fully into like K-pop in 2018. I did also watch Haikyuu. I got back to watching Haikyuu in 2018 for a brief amount of time. I also watched Devilman Crybaby and was really into Doki Doki Literature Club. But again, the dominating fucking fandom at the time was K-pop. Now, that being said, I was so into K-pop that I was starting to really get sick of my emo Tumblr bitch friend, she who shall not be named. That would be because she started going off the rails in 2017 and was just fully not connecting with us, her friends, during 2018. Like, that new girl that I mentioned in that I mentioned earlier in my Heta diary, she came in 2018. She almost fully replaced she who shall not be named. And this year, I had a fight with her. I blocked her on Instagram because I didn't want to see her emo posts anymore. And I think I have every right to do that, thank you very much. But one of the things she did that led me to do that was attack one of the fandoms that I was in, the BTS fandom, and claim plagiarism. I want you to think back to some of the things that I said earlier to remember. 1, she was really into 21 Pilots. 2, I was really into BTS. And the first album that I had listened to from them, their first full album, was Wings. This is what the covers look like. You understand, right? You see, one day I was minding my own business, listening to music just in the schoolyard, right? And I was flicking through songs and I put on my favourite song from the Wings album, that being Mama, which is J-Hope's solo song, and I fucking love that song to death. It is by far my favourite song from that entire album, and I was listening to it. And I had opened my phone to look at it. She walks in front of me, looks at my phone, just as I'm going to the next song, and goes, "Hold on, can I see that for a second?" She then proceeded to smile, look at me, and go, "Looks like someone's plagiarizing," and walked off. Do you understand now why I blocked her on Instagram?
Okay, so I jumped to the next point here. I would like to say that, for the record, it was much more than just this one instance that made me block her on Instagram and made her get angry and stop our friendship and all that shit. It was a lot more than just this one instance, but this one instance was the catalyst for the end. Like, it was this, and then like 7 other really small things that she did. but I don't go into that in this video, so just wanted to point that out. I don't really end the story all that well, and as you can see by this video, I'm bouncing between points, so just wanted to end that story there. There was a lot. This was the catalyst for the end of our friendship, but there was a lot between then and the actual end of our friendship.
Safe to say, my love for emo music was dead until I was 18, which would be 2 years later. But continuing on into 2019, more emo stuff. I'm also getting back into the swing of anime, but it is really, really difficult to do when you're in your final year of high school and you have to put all of your effort into high school stuff. What did I do instead? I watched a lot of YouTube. I was really into BuzzFeed Unsolved, and this actually came in handy when I could include BuzzFeed Unsolved into a drama performance that would be marked for my final grade. I did that and I got an A because of it. It is insane how fandom works, and it worked so fucking well then. Yes?
Sorry, you filming?
Yes.
Okay.
No. I'm putting that in the video. I'm putting that in the video. Everyone will know you fought in my room and only in my room. Ah! But yes, starting 2019, I started my YouTube channel. Now, I will be honest, I started my YouTube channel thinking I would do more drama-based stuff, such as, when I say drama, I mean theatre, because I was also a theatre kid. Again, I went to an art school. If you go to an art school, you are one of several different archetypes. I was all of them. I was the quiet kid, the emo kid, the weeb. I was also a fucking theatre kid. I was a very shy theatre kid, but I was a theatre kid because I was a drama student. I was really big into musicals, not as big as the other people in my fucking class, because I was more interested in my personal hobbies than in musical theatre, though musical theatre songs fucking slap. But when I started my channel, I originally was going to do stuff based on not only K-pop, but anime and drama. And when I say drama, I mean theatre. Thus my name, the dramatic otaku. Now, the dramatic part is because not only am I over dramatic, if you know me in real life, you know I exaggerate quite a bit. It was also a reference to the fact that I am a theatre kid, essentially. And in my very first video that you can see my face in, the introduction to the dramatic otaku, I talk a lot about drama and theatre and my favorite like musical theatre stuff, but I also talk a lot about K-pop, way too much about K-pop actually. I barely even talk about anime in that video, which is ironic because my channel is now only about anime. It very much was more otaku than dramatic, nor K-pop. And you can even see that in my intro, that I have a picture of Jimin, and I also have one of those Grecian theatre masks that you typically see around the theatre. They're all in my intro, but the only part that you ever see is the otaku side. So that plan failed, and the only reason I properly started my YouTube channel was actually to see if I could get big doing drama, because around 2019, my aspiration was to be an actress. It was to do drama, and I got such a big fucking confidence boost because of this bitch right here, which you cannot see, but I am pointing at Stephanie wearing my Poison Ivy outfit. On screen now will be a picture of me dressed as Poison Ivy. During 2018, I was severely depressed because my grandmother had passed away, and because I felt I was doing subpar at best in my acting abilities. Big main confidence was doing my Poison Ivy cosplay performance, where I spent a lot of time building a cosplay for the character of Poison Ivy because I was going to perform as her at my yearly showcase. And everyone fucking loved that performance specifically, and I didn't realize at the time, but I was the main character of that performance. which was a first for me because I had never been the main character before. So this gave me a confidence boost going into year 12, that being 2019. With me being so confident and wanting to be an actor, I was a little bit narcissistic and was mainly focusing on drama as well as on YouTube, and mainly watching YouTube, being interested in YouTube. I started getting back into Minecraft YouTube during this time by watching Bad Boy Halo, Skeppy, LD Shadow Lady, Morsh Beans, as well as PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, Markiplier for a little bit, though Markiplier was very adamant. There's like, I did Drunk Minecraft first, which he did, and I did watch that in like 2014. So to see him being so adamant is like, I did this first, was so fucking funny because I remember watching Drunk Minecraft and it was great. But me being so confident on that front, I decided I was going to get into Australia's most prestigious acting school. I did not, but I didn't put in my fucking grades. But yes, during this time, because I was so focused on drama and musical theatre and all of that stuff, I sort of sidelined my fandom enjoyments, except for what was available to me while I was studying, this being YouTube videos. So I very quickly got back into the Minecraft YouTube fandom specifically, and this was via obviously Skeppy, Bad Boy Halo, as I just said, all of those guys. And this is when Dream came to prominence. So I started watching him, George Not Found, and Sapnap at the same time. Now I started my YouTube channel because at my careers expo that I went to specifically to get a grip on what I want to do for university, which I did not follow the plan whatsoever. I am now doing media and English. I wanted to do either journalism or acting. No. But I started doing YouTube because the person at the NIDA, which is the National Institution of Dramatic Arts. Yeah, National Institution of Dramatic Arts. I'm pretty sure that's what NIDA spells. I could be severely wrong, but initially I'd wanted to go just to get more information on how to apply to NIDA. And the woman who was at the stall for NIDA specifically said, start a YouTube channel. You are more likely to get noticed, get picked to be an actress if you start a YouTube channel. Joke's on you, bitch! I'm still depressed. So I did, and as you know, it has gone far beyond what it was supposed to do. And if you look at my earliest videos, I have taken some down. I was originally going to do these as episodes, that's why you've got like episode 1, 3, 7. I stopped doing the episode thing real quick because I realized there were a few videos that were just not up to standard and I should not have posted, so I took them down quite quickly. But I started posting content that I enjoyed watching, so I posted them for you guys to enjoy. Some of it didn't age well, and a lot of it at the start was very K-pop heavy, and obviously I didn't get into NIDA, so I sort of threw all of my interests in 2020 back into anime. There was a little bit of help from this little known thing called the pandemic, but I really started getting back into fandom things in 2020 because I had the time to, you know. Also because I got severely mentally ill. So throughout 2020, I was watching a lot of anime, and I was watching anime on Discord with my friends. So as you can tell, there's people to talk about anime with. And this is where my big boom in anime enjoyment came from. I started buying more manga, I didn't start buying more figures. I was always interested in buying figures, but it got more interesting as I got older. My collection used to just be anime DVDs. Now look at it. And I want more. And I got so involved that midway through 2021, or towards the start of 2021, when I was going through another mental health crisis, I started to get more into YouTube doing YouTube, and that meant if I wanted to create content around my hobbies, I had to be more involved in my hobbies. And that brings us to today. And yes, I mean, from here, I've gotten 528 of you as of today. There will possibly be more in the next couple of days. There could be less in the next couple of days. Who knows? This is coming out in a couple of weeks from when I'm filming it, so... But yeah, so I have evolved greatly because of the fandoms I've been in. And I can't get into every single fandom because there will be fandoms that I miss. There was just a lot, and this was a ramble. I can't even say look at my iTunes stuff anymore because I don't buy stuff on iTunes anymore. I have Spotify now, so I don't really need to buy stuff on iTunes. So if I had to finish off this video, it would be saying that over the last 4 years, I've been figuring out that I've been bisexual, and a lot of that has been helped by fandom and TikTok and the internet and just sharing the same realities as so many other people. It's weird, but yeah, that is my video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed me just rambling about my life. I want to say a huge thank you again for 500 subscribers. I decided to make this video specifically mainly because I just wanted to talk. It also helps you guys get to understand me a little bit more and my weird little mind and how I keep going back and forward a lot. And yeah, my life now is so much different. I mean, everyone's lives is so much different to what they were years ago, but I've kind of gone full circle when it comes to fandom. Like, I started off liking more Western things and going into anime, and I'm now over here into anime and Minecraft YouTube. And obviously, the way I act now has changed quite a bit since when I first started being into fandom. And I'm starting to do things that I wanted to do ages ago. For one, dyeing my hair. I wanted to dye my hair when I was like 14, when I was an emo. Now I look like how I wanted to look when I was 14. I'm living that lifestyle. But I'm doing things that I wanted to do when I was 16, such as learn Japanese. Will I learn Korean? Probably not. But now I have ulterior reasons to do the things that I wanted to do when I was a kid. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed in some form me doing this little story time thing. If you like videos like this where I'm kind of just living my life and just doing stuff but doing it just a lot less actively, then I do have a second channel, The Theatrical Weeb. This one is more of a play on the fact that, you know, I was supposed to be doing theatrical stuff on this channel and I'm not. I'm not doing theatrical stuff there. I'm actually studying a lot on that channel. If you want to do studies with me, I have quite a few videos on that channel. I was going to upload daily, but my mental health does not constitute that. You will get at least 1, maybe 3 uploads a week on that channel, hopefully. I may forget about that channel at some point. Also, if you want to support me further, I have a Ko-Fi. I want to thank the person who has donated to my Ko-Fi already. Thank you so much. I love you. Because you have, even with just the smallest donation, you have actually helped me get closer to my goal to making this monstrosity of a fucking cosplay. And if you too want to thank you because you helped me get to this cosplay, then please donate to my Ko-Fi because you'll really be helping me out in making more cosplay content, which is something that I really want to explore on this channel. But do not feel obliged to. Liking, subscribing, just watching the video is support enough. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a lovely day, night, afternoon, weekend. Why weekend? No matter what, I hope you're having a good time, or at least this video made you somewhat happier. And I will be seeing you all next time. Bye!